passes it ahead. It got deflected, but Brown comes back to the ball. Teal from the free throw line and no rush. Still 19 on the shot clock. And the Corsairs will set up. Brown across for a wide open Teal. She'll jack up the three off the mark, but who's there? It's Ashley Brown. One of the smaller players in the paint on that possession grabs it. Teal working on Osborne. Cross. Dixon comes over, and it's out of bounds off the Beacons.
Something I do like, though, from the Beacons, you know, it's a 12-point game at this point. There's a minute left. You know you're not really going to win this game, but they're still playing hard, and I think that's what Coach Ball wants to see out of them is at this point, you know you're not going to win it. You might as well still run the court and see what you can and can't get out of this game.
Well, we talked about it with 7 minutes left. It was a 15-point game, and we wondered, could the Beacons at least win the last 7 minutes, give themselves some confidence? They've been doing a much better job here in the second half defensively. Gave up 37 points in the first half as Kelsey called for the foul on Teal, head to the line for 2. Right now they've only let up 28 points in the second half. Just the offense, we've seen it come in ebbs and flows.
Yeah, well, you talk about the seniors at the beginning of the game, Seth, when you mentioned the keys to this game. And you get Raven Kelsey, who has 4 fouls, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't even have 4 points in this game. And that right there just shows you, I believe she had 1 3-pointer, but she's not producing so much on the offensive end, which, you know, you don't need that every day in and out from her because she is a great defensive player as well. But in games like this, when you need your seniors to step up and you need players like her to do her job, you know, she's got to perform a little bit better.
Yeah, you were 100% on the mark. Kelsey now with 3 points as Teal knocks down a pair. Mazik hard to the hoop. Examon tried to draw the charge, doesn't get it, but Mazik misses anyways. Brown will dribble over towards her bench. 20-second difference between shot clock and game clock. The Corsairs might not even shoot it. We talked about the Beacons. They're 3 seniors, 1 of 18 the last time against UMass Dartmouth. They have 4 made field goals this time, but are still shooting pretty paltry percentage as Examon able to hold on to the loose ball. And now there's a 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock after yet another offensive rebound. UMass Dartmouth has 16 of them. It feels like more. And we'll see Brown head to the line for 2 more free throws after a foul with just 19.1 left.
I for sure thought that last one could be called on Raven Kelsey, and I was going to say, hey, foul out of the game already so soon, but Megan Dixon gets charged there with the foul, and there's only 19 seconds left. It wasn't really needed, but again, a chance for Ashley Brown to rack up some more points, and she's been great this entire game. She's gotten, you know, great looks from the field. She's played very good defense. She's been pushing this offense, you know, on both sides of the court, and she's just a great game for Ashley Brown.
Yeah, we talked about the battle of the bigs and maybe the Beacons offense. We've got a reaching call on Houlihan with 16 and a half seconds left. It won't lead to free throws. That's just the third on the Corsairs, but it will stay with the Beacons. You look at Ashley Brown, and Brown has 9 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. This Corsairs team has gotten really good production from their role players and tremendous play in transition. That's been a huge difference maker as Jackson can't convert on the 3. Teal another rebound, and that will do it from our first game of this doubleheader. UMass Dartmouth, a 15-point winner after winning by 30 points down at Dartmouth 3 weeks ago. These two teams could face a third time in the LEC finals, potentially. UMass Boston will have to make their way through Southern Maine first. But 2 games, 2 wins for the Corsairs, and the Beacons will have to win down in Dartmouth. They have a chance of potentially making it to their first ever LEC tournament. We'll head down low, see if Christina Baugh is game for an interview, and then we'll have our post-game show before we bring you our men's game, as it's UMass Dartmouth 68, UMass Boston 53 from here in Boston.
I'm Elizabeth Clavin, sophomore business management major from Edina, Minnesota. I love being a part of this volleyball team. Volleyball is what brought me to UMass Boston. I looked at our recruiting website one last time and saw UMass Boston on it, came out for a visit the next week, and it kind of hit all the boxes that I was looking for. In a good city, good academic school, good volleyball program. It had everything I wanted. Although it was far away from home, I knew this is where I wanted to be. Winning 6 back-to-back LEC titles is really a dynasty, I think, and Terry has really focused hard on recruiting and building this dynasty and continuing to build a program that can continue to win championships, and it's really lucky to be a part of something this great. Last year I was the Little East Conference Defensive Player of the Year, All-Conference second team, NCAA Regional MVP of the regional tournament, ABC All-Region Honorable Mention, and New England Women's Volleyball Association All-Rookie Team and Honorable Mention. I think my favorite game would have to be playing in the regional championship last year. We played against a really good Williams team, and I think that match, we started off a little shaky and lost the first set. We've lost in the whole playoff season, and I think that kind of shook us a little bit. We came back firing, and we're ready to go those next couple games. Our coaches are bringing in a lot of really strong girls who want to make a commitment and make an impact in this program, and I think that is why we're continuing to do well and will continue to do well for the next few years. Being a student here has been really awesome as well. I've recently started taking more of my business classes and found that's a good choice and a good fit for me. And eventually I hope to open my own business and kind of be successful and do what I love at the end of the day.
UMass is very public service focused, and it piqued my interest, and I started doing more research on it. I'm very focused on what can I do to make the world around me a better place. My name is Lydia Grasso. I'm a junior at UMass Boston studying sociology and minoring in human rights. What I want to do is I want to work with women and children transitioning out of sexual slavery in Southeast Asia and helping them to find jobs, find housing, provide counseling, just the things that we kind of take for granted. Because I won the Chancellor's Scholarship at UMass, it allowed me to go to Cambodia. I was working at the Sihanouk Hospital Center of Hope in Cambodia, and it was just an amazing opportunity to just be able to get firsthand experience working with a human rights research project. Cambodia was really ravaged by a genocide, so there's a lot of rebuilding that's happening. I was in the place of something horrible that had happened. I could either go home and kind of forget about that experience and kind of block it out, or I could do something so that things like that never happened again. UMass provides me with opportunities that I wouldn't get anywhere else and gives me a global perspective in a public setting. I definitely transformed at UMass.
UMass Boston is founded on a notion of impact. The Center for Peace, Democracy, and Development is a place where faculty and students can take a lot of the concepts and ideas that we are teaching in the classroom and take them into the field and actually make a difference. Beyond our work in Boston, we have projects in Nigeria, Israel, Palestine, Northern Ireland, South Africa, Ecuador, Colombia. Through our work in the field with a lot of important actors like the U.S. State.
Join my head coach, Christina Baugh. Coach, you've played this UMass Dartmouth team twice. First time it was a blowout the whole way. This game you were probably competitive for 28, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know you're probably going to see him again. What are the positives you take away from this game in terms of maybe learning something about your team and learning how you attack UMass Dartmouth?
Yeah, we weren't scared today, you know. That was the goal, is just for us to fight for 40 minutes, and I thought we did it for about 35. So I'm happy with our team right now. We couldn't buy a basket. We shot too many threes. But, you know, against a team like that, we stuck to the game plan in the first 20 minutes. Once we got some mental fatigue, kind of went away from it. But yeah, we're one step closer to beating them.
You've got 3 games left in the regular season, and then potentially you should have an LEC quarterfinal game here at home. How important is it to sort of figure out some of your lineups? I know you have a lot of players banged up at this point. We saw some lineups today that we haven't seen much at all season here against UMass Dartmouth.
Yeah, that'll be something important that we play around with in the next couple games to kind of figure out what works. But that's hard too, because you just never know which kid is ready to go. So you end up going a little bit deeper or trying to find a spark. You know, that's kind of the role of the bench. Who's going to bring some effort to the game, you know, that gives us a spark, we see something different. So, well, that'll be my job to figure that out over the next couple games.
And finally, what's the biggest key in practice the next couple of days to come in focused for a Plymouth State team that maybe isn't as good on paper, but obviously in this conference, any team can earn that big upset win?
Yeah, it's the same every night, man. Defend, rebound, and communicate. That won't change. If we do those, we have a chance to win every night.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Good luck. Right now, we'll take a look at the highlights from this second half and then take a look at the final stats here from Boston. Per second foul. She'll find Osborne. Osborne gets around and underneath Examon and able.
Within, single digits in this deficit. Try to get your momentum going a little bit.
Rossi gets the very Vital in transition all the way. Stutter stepping her near side. Matthew will give it up. Gives a deeper three for Dixon, who drains it. Megan Dix. Examon triple team leaves a wide open three for Dowdy from the corner, and the first three of the Vital looking to drive on Gonzalez baseline. Quinonez the three knocks it down. That's passes. They're not on point. That's a great pass from Vital for Osborne. We'll take a quick look through the final stats and team leaders. UMass Boston didn't shoot quite as bad as they did in the first game, but still just 31.7%, easily their lowest at home this year as they fall to 9-1 at home. UMass Dartmouth at 39.4%, 8 more field goal attempts than the Beacons. UMass Boston 7 of 26 from distance. UMass Dartmouth 2 of 7. Rebounds within 5, but the Corsairs still hold the edge. Corsairs with 17 of their 48 rebounds on the offensive end. Assists pretty even. The Beacons with 21 turnovers versus 13 for the Corsairs. And UMass Dartmouth a 21-4 edge in points off turnovers, a 42-18 edge in points in the paint. Take a look at the team leaders from this one. Nakira Examon, another double-double, 20 and 11 in 29 minutes. Struggled from the field, 8 of 22, but she did have 8 offensive rebounds, 8 of her 11. 18 points from Alicia Teal for the Corsairs, and Ashley Brown, a tremendous game, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. For UMass Boston, 2 players with 11 points, Joey Grassi and Shania Osborne, also their leading rebounds with 8 and 7. Actually, I didn't even see Gianna Williams, 10 rebounds at the bottom. So the freshmen really had the best games for the Beacons on offense and rebounding. Lydia Vital with a strong production as well, 6 assists, 3 steals, but just the 4 points in 29 minutes. Looking ahead for UMass Boston, the good news is they'll be back in action soon. That'll happen on Saturday at 1 p.m. when UMass Boston hosts Plymouth State, and then they're on the road on Wednesday, traveling to Southern Maine in their last road game of the regular season before closing out next Saturday against Western Connecticut State on Senior Day for the Beacons 3 seniors. I'd like to give our crew a shout-out real quick before we close it out. You see that question mark at the bottom. That's Alex Carasoto. Never know what kind of game he's going to give. Did a pretty good job on camera. My name is Seth Dorensky, joined by Gigi Braga on the call. Anthony Searles, Rachel Nasdaq, and Alyssa Fugel were our directors and instant replay operators. Alex Gibbs, Bree Colucci, Eileen Shee, and Alex Carasoto on camera. That'll do it from Boston. UMass Dartmouth wins by 15 to move to 11-0 in conference and pretty much wrap up the number 1 seed in the LEC regular season standings. That'll do it. And we'll be back in hopefully just 2 to 3 minutes for game number 2 of our doubleheader. Hello and welcome to rainy Boston, Massachusetts for game number 2 of our Little East Conference doubleheader. It's the lone men's game of the night. We've got the team sitting in 4th and 5th in the Little East Conference standings as UMass Dartmouth tries to keep their streak of 5 consecutive finishes in the top 4 of the Little East, while UMass Boston, who sits in 4th place currently, looks to earn their first home game in LEC tournament play since 2006. My name is Seth Dorensky, joined by Gigi Braga shortly as UMass Boston and UMass Dartmouth about to get underway in the second half of our doubleheader. Right now we'll take a look at the team statistics. And when you look at these two sides, you see a UMass Dartmouth team that has the top 2 rebounders in the conference in Joshua Amati and Rinzi Obiora, versus the Beacons team that their biggest weakness has been their rebounding. The other side, you have the weakest defensive team in the conference in UMass Dartmouth at 81.8 points per game allowed versus the Beacons team that stands nearly 10 points better. They're a team that likes to play at a slower pace and plays with a lot of defensive tenacity. So some differences in style between the two sides. Move along to the team leaders. For UMass Dartmouth, they lost 4 starters from last year's team, including 4 all-conference players. They've relied heavily on the combination of Obiora, the junior out of Lagos, Nigeria, and Amadi, the senior out of Lynn, Massachusetts, along with a key freshman player in Jake Ashworth. Ashworth, the conference's top 3-point shooter and free throw shooter, has been absolutely huge for this team, including going off for 15 points and a career-high 11 rebounds. And the first contest between the two sides, a UMass Boston 72-68 win. For the Beacons, it's been their freshmen who have been big all season long, but especially as of late. Michael Boyd, the reigning Little East Conference Rookie of the Week, has been phenomenal, including going off for 24 this past Saturday in a 14-point loss at Eastern Connecticut State. Charles Mitchell has led the Beacons and has been one of the top 3-point shooters in the country all season long, to go along with his twin brother, Charlie Mitchell, who has picked up his offensive game over the past couple of weeks. Take a look right now at the all-time series, and UMass Boston has accomplished something they'd never done before. Won 2 games in a row against the Corsairs. The Beacons won on the road last year, a buzzer-beating 3 by Alex Sanchez to split the season series, and then won down at UMass Dartmouth on January 17th. Today they'll look to do something they have not done in quite a while, win here at home. The Beacons are 1-10 in their last 11 home games and won just once. That came back in February of 2015 when the Beacons stunned the Corsairs 79-75 in a matchup of a 2-7 Beacons team in conference play and a 7-2 Corsairs side. Right now we'll take a look at a quick commercial before we bring you the head coaches and potentially the starting lineup. Still waiting for those up here in our Beacons Broadcast Network press box. So we'll take a moment, and then we'll be back with the first half of this Little East Conference matchup.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Right now we'll take a look at the starting lineups and also head coach Brian Baptiste for UMass Dartmouth. You can just see him peeking out at the end of the line on the right. Baptiste, one of the shorter guys in that huddle, but certainly a legend of Division III basketball. Baptiste, one of the few coaches over 600 career wins amongst active coaches. He's led UMass Dartmouth to 13 NCAA tournaments, a 7-time Little East Conference Coach of the Year, and led the team all the way to the Final Four back in 1993. And the man to his left, who doesn't have his coat buttoned up right now, Isaac Jenkins in the spectacles, he's a local legend as well. He played 2 years with UMass Boston to close out his career after playing 2 years of JUCO basketball out in California. and then went on to play professionally in Italy. So a little bit of a tie to both schools for today's matchup. On the other side, you can't see Jason Harris amongst the crowd right now, but Harris in his 3rd season, compared to 35 for Baptiste, is looking for his first ever home win against UMass Dartmouth. Beacons haven't won since Charlie Titus's final year behind the bench. After spending 7 years at Division I, LIU Brooklyn returned to the Little East Conference, where he not only played as a player at Rhode Island College, but also spent a year as an interim head coach at Plymouth State. Bringing the starters right now with no graphics available. Beacons will go with Dason Sinelli, Michael Boyd, Dan Powers, James Hawkins Jr., and Charles Mitchell. Hawkins Jr. had a big first game against the Corsairs with 4 second-half blocks to go along with 7 points and 6 rebounds. Still waiting for the Corsairs starting 5. Looks like we have a bit of an issue at the scores table with a possession arrow, which is causing a little bit of the hold-up. On the other side for UMass Dartmouth, they're going to go with Atakan Akkem, the junior out of Ankara, Turkey, alongside Jake Ashworth, the conference's leading free throw and three-point shooter. Brandon Williams Jr., the sophomore out of Dorchester, Mass. Local kid who led St. Clement High School to a Division IV state title back in 2014. Those 3 are out there with Marquise Jones, the sophomore guard out of Randolph, Mass., and Arinzi Obiora, the junior out of Lagos, Nigeria, who is just having a phenomenal season, including a 30-point game against Castleton, future LEC opponent, in the Hampton Inn Tournament Championship game where he was named MVP of the tournament. UMass Dartmouth wins the tip. The Beacons in a man-to-man in the white uniforms. It's Jones with it, looking to drive. Takes the Euro step, able to find a teammate in Cam, and now it's Williams Jr. with 10. Strong drive over Hawkins. Rebound is loose, tapped up by Obior, and ends up in the hands of Charles Mitchell. The game clock is off on the near side. Shot clock is working, but they're going to have to fix that at some point. Boyd across for Powers into the corner for Charles Mitchell. Able to find Sinelli. Sinelli looking for Hawkins. It's tapped up. Right back for Sinelli, who will kick it across for Powers. One more swing for Boyd. And now Charles Mitchell from deep off the mark. Powers will tap it out, but Obior is the closest player to it. He loses it. Sinelli able to find Boyd, and it's tied up. The Beacons will get it back. And now I'm joined by our newly fresh color commentator, Gigi Braga.
Yeah, Seth, great to be here. Took a little hiatus over there from the women's game, but we're back and we're ready for this. See the men's team play, 5th and 4th seed here for the LEC. It's a big game for both sides.
Boyd over for Charles Mitchell. Back to the near side for Sinelli and Hawkins. Beacons looking for their first shot inside the three-point line. Michael Boyd had a huge game the first time against UMass Dartmouth. Game high 24 and was able to get to the hoop at will. Powers a deep 3, knocks it down. And UMass Boston the early 3-0 lead.
And we saw Dan Powers, and he, if you've been keeping up with UMass Boston athletics, he's just one of those guys who plays such a big role as a senior in this team. And you see him right there, just that hustle that he brings to this team.
Williams Jr. off the mark, and the rebound falls to Powers. Well, while UMass Dartmouth got off to a really strong start, 6-1 before losing a couple players over break, and another player we don't expect to see, Nick Bond, who I don't see dressed for today's game. He was really good for the team before going out right before the UMass Boston game. Beacons got better second semester because of the addition of Powers, who had a semester of eligibility left. And that's huge for such a young team like UMass Boston to get another veteran leader out there who can really put together some big games, as Boyd adds a triple of his own.
Just the pace of this game, Seth, as you said, Dan Powers bringing so much energy, but the pace that guys like Mitchell, guys like Boyd bring into this game, it's only been two minutes in play, and both teams are already hungry for a win.
Sinelli able to get the steal, throws it ahead for Mitchell, who's able to get around Ashworth. Powers the strong drive and just able to put it over the front rim to make it an 8-0 Beacon start.
And at the moment, the Beacons just seem to want it a little bit more. And you see Coach Harris there. He's he's clapping, he's applauding his team, and they're just doing everything that he wants them to do at the start of this game.
Well, this game is huge for both sides. UMass Boston's already played both games against Eastern and Keene, so their schedule easier the rest of the way. But the Beacons would love to potentially even fight for that 3 seed, currently 2 games back of Western Connecticut State with 4 games to play. Charles Mitchell for Hawkins in the lane, back out for Boyd from the corner, 11-0 UMass Boston.
And you wonder why Boyd, sorry to cut you off there, Seth, but you wonder why Boyd was the Rookie of the Week for the LAC, and that's why, you know, just 11 points, and he scored 6 of them from beyond the arc for the Beacons already.
Williams Jr. gets some space over Hawkins, well short. Beacons have a chance to get out in transition where they're so good. Ahead for Charles Mitchell, the spot up 3. He can't convert, and Atcam is there for the rebound. UMass Boston, despite losing that game at Eastern Connecticut State, shot 50% from the field. They were just out-rebounded on the day. It's got to be good. Got to make a team feel good, especially a team like UMass Boston who has struggled shooting the ball all season. Boyd adds a floater in the lane, and it's 13-0, just 4:01 in, and Brian Baptiste forced to use his first timeout. So that'll extend out to a media. We'll take a break along with the teams. UMass Boston is on fire to start tonight's contest.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
UMass Boston out to a 13-0 run. We're going to take a look at a couple of highlights from the early going as the Beacons have been on fire to start tonight's contest. Gigi, it starts from distance. Dan Powers knocking down the first 3 of the game. And then we get a couple more looks in transition. This is Powers from Charles Mitchell. And we'll take a look at the third. This is the kick over for Michael Boyd. Michael Boyd has looked as confident as any freshman I've seen this year, at least in the Little East Conference. He went from being a guy who was hit or miss in first semester to becoming the go-to guy for UMass Boston here the last couple weeks.
Yeah, you know, he had a couple of the games during first semester where he was, like you said, a hit or miss. You know, he would come out and either have a really good game or he'd have a really bad game. But I remember the first game of the year for UMass Boston, I think he went off for like 15 to 20 points, and I was like, wow, this guy is going to be a threat to any team he plays.
Beacons in some full court pressure. Obiora underneath, swatted by Sinelli. There'll be a foul as well, but UMass Boston not giving any easy baskets to the Corsairs early on, as Obiora will have to deal with it the hard way. And right now, Gigi, it looks like Joshua Amadi, the team's second leading scorer and the second leading rebounder in the entire conference, is not available tonight. He did not play against Tufts last week, and right now it looks like he's in street clause at the end of the bench. That would make this a really tough game if you're UMass Dartmouth, with just 8 available players and missing your team's second leading scorer and rebounder.
Well, the good thing there for the Corsairs is that the Beacons don't go that far into their bench as well. So it's not like they're losing that much depth in their bench, but then again, you get a guy who's such a threat to your offense, and that's where the Corsairs might struggle a little bit here today.
Amadi, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists against UMass Boston the first game, the team's leading scorer. Charles Mitchell from the near wing with 2 on the shot clock, and he knocks it down. The Beacons with a 16-2 lead. The Beacons made 2 substitutions during the timeout. Kevin Lewis-Jean and Iser Barnes, a pair of seniors, in there for Hawkins and Powers. So the Beacons, 4 seniors either cycling in or cycling out. Obiora calling for the ball on the block, working against Lewis-Jean. Grabs it, and the Beacons are called for the foul. Back-to-back possessions now that Obiora has drawn fouls. 1 on Lewis-Jean and 1 on Sinelli. Just past 5 minutes into tonight's contest. Jones on the block, as is Obiora, and Obiora able to convert the first field goal of the night for UMass Dartmouth to cut the deficit to 12. UMass Dartmouth in a 2-3 right now. Ashworth out there with Matthew Sewell up top. Now they've extended it back into a man. Barnes up top for Boyd with 10 on the shot clock. Boyd looks to drive around Ashworth, can't convert, and the rebound falls to Jake Ashworth, the freshman out of Fairhaven, Mass. Ashworth across for Sewell. Jones was in the vicinity as well. Toby Orr working on Lewis Jean, puts it up with the right hand, too strong, and the rebound falls to Charles Mitchell. Brother Charlie Mitchell will head to the scorer's table, but first Charles Mitchell, another three off the mark on this occasion. Atcam heads downhill and he'll put it up too strong off the glass. Barnes the rebound after it was tapped around. Heiser into the front court, throws it up. Couple of bounces off the rim and no good, and now UMass Boston's gone a little cold offensively.
And you would really like to have seen that basket go in there for Heiser Barnes. He's such a good defensive player. But when he gets going on the offensive end, he can really be, a threat to the Beacons offense.
Sewell around his screen, and it's stripped away, but first the foul. Charles Mitchell, some quick hands, but apparently not quite quick enough. Third foul on the Beacons, first on Charles Mitchell. And we'll see Charlie check on for Michael Boyd. Dan Powers for Dason Sinelli. On the other side, UMass Dartmouth's going to go big. Patrick Gavin, 6'4", 180, freshman out of Beverly, Mass, will check in. And it's Atcam out of the timeout. As UMass Dartmouth rolling with Gavin at 6'4", Obiora at 6'5", and Atcam at 6'5". The Beacons don't have height to deal with that kind of lineup for UMass Dartmouth.
And that's something that the Beacons have struggled with every single game that they've played this season is their height from their bigs.
Barnes from straight away knocks it down. That's one way to deal with the height disadvantage.
I was just about to say no other way to deal with the height disadvantage than hitting those three-pointers. You saw Michael Boyd over there checking in at the scorer's table, but then he just walked right over to the bench. I think Coach Harris might be leaving Heiser Barnes in the game for a little bit longer.
Powers got a hand on the entry pass, but couldn't deflect it to a teammate. Sewell with 12 on the shot clock. Around the screen from Obiora. Takes the three from straight away. Doesn't hit anything. And Barnes the rebound. Head for Charlie Mitchell. He wears 4. Charles wears 5. Into the corner for Charles Mitchell. Knocks it down again. The Beacons have been red hot from distance, and the lead is 22-6. Their largest lead of the game.
And right now, UMass Dartmouth just has to find a way to stop the Beacons from shooting those three-pointers. If that's going into a shoot-3 zone or whatever it may be. But the Beacons are red hot right now from beyond the arc.
Ashworth over for Atcam with 13, spins and knocks down the jumper, contested jumper from just inside the elbow. This is a very interesting lineup for both sides. The Beacons playing with 3 guards as Charlie Mitchell's called for the travel and 2 bigs, and UMass Dartmouth playing with 3 very big bigs and just the 2 guards. As we'll get a media timeout. UMass Boston leading by 14 with 11:50 to play. We'll be back after this media timeout.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
(22-8), almost midway through the first half, and the Beacons are going to bring out James Hawkins Jr. to deal with some of the height of this UMass Dartmouth team. Gigi, shooting as well as the Beacons have thus far from distance, probably unsustainable, but what have you seen from UMass Boston that gives Brian Baptiste, maybe a little bit of cause for concern here through the first 8+ minutes.
It seems like the pace of the game that the Beacons are playing with, you know, the Corsairs just haven't been able to find a way to keep up with that. And that's just something that's so lethal to, you know, both sides is maintaining that pace. You see there Dan Powers unfortunate with the turnover, but you know, the Beacons they're pushing the ball in transition. They're getting all the baskets, and it seems like right now the Corsairs just can't seem to buy a basket. So that's something you're definitely going to have to look for if you're coaching the Corsairs.
Obiora missed the long 2, but it ended up out of bounds off Powers, and there's a air ball from the Corsairs that'll end up going the Beacons' way. 11:29 left. UMass Boston would love to have a laugher. They have not had anything but close games or blowout losses in conference play. As Obiora got a hand on the ball, but it ends up with the Beacons. Barnes, the ball fake, kicks it over. Powers looking for his second 3 of the night. Can't quite finish. Hawkins Jr. flies in for the rebound, but misses the potential putback. And now it's UMass Dartmouth in transition. Brandon Williams, a perfect pass for Atcam, and the Corsairs make the Beacons pay.
And that's exactly what the Corsairs are looking for here in this game. And you get a stop there, but great rebound by James Hawkins Jr. on the other end of the floor. But still, that was a great chance for the Corsairs over in transition, getting those 2 buckets to try to get back in this game.
Well, after going down by as many as 11-0 early on and 16 overall, the Corsairs have cut it to 12. Boyd tries the 4-footer off glass, and that's where he was lethal down at UMass Dartmouth 3 weeks ago. Brandon Williams stripped from behind, but Charlie Mitchell is going to be called for a little bit of contact there. So the Beacons were hounding the local Dorchester product for UMass Dartmouth. And it's just the first on Charlie Mitchell's. The Beacons have 4 different players with 1 foul. Corsairs yet to be called for a foul. Marquise Jones checks in for Atcam. Dayson Sinelli heading to the scorer's table for UMass Boston. Jones trying to find Obiora, who can't quite make the catch. And now we're going to get a foul on the Beacons for holding on to Obiora. It's either the first on Hawkins or the first on Powers.
I think they're going to Powers here.
So first foul on Dan Powers, 5 on the Beacons now. Remember, it takes 7 to shoot the 1-and-1. Sinelli replaces Barnes. And on the other side, Ashworth is replaced out there by what looks like Gavin again, as Jones is well short. Powers draws the loose ball foul. And Marquise Jones is the first Corsair who will go down in the scorer's book with the foul tonight.
Now you love to see that hustle though from both sides there. Dan Powers going up for that rebound. Just a little too much contact there from the Corsairs on that play, but still the hustle is what you're looking for if you're Coach Baptiste, you know, to try to get the Corsairs back into this game to keep up with the Beacons.
Ashworth actually replaced by Derek Pinto, the senior guard out of Rehoboth, Mass. It's another offensive board for Charlie Mitchell. He's one of the smallest guys out there. Boyd picks up the dribble, finds Sinelli, not much of a three-point shooter, and passes up the 3, only to be called for the travel.
That's just times where I think, like I said in the women's game one time, it's just your brain's thinking a little too quickly there for your feet to move, or in this case, vice versa. But Dayson Sinelli, you know he doesn't like to shoot that three-pointer. You know he likes to get his points more in the paint and off those layups.
Sinelli just 6 of 21 from behind the arc into the corner, and the 3 is just a little bit short there out of the hands of Gavin. Beacons nearly lose it in transition. Gavin on the season, just 1 of 8 now from behind the arc. Powers the floater, and it's good. He's got an early 8, and the Beacons' lead is 16, tied for their largest of the game.
And that's what you talk about in Dan Powers and how versatile he is. And you know he can shoot that 3. You know he's such a presence in, the paint. He can also rebound. He can do it all.
Williams Jr. swatted away by Hawkins, who gives him a mean stare, and it'll stay with the Corsairs with 15 on the shot clock.
I don't know if that was just me, but I heard a little contact there. I really thought that Hawkins Jr. was going to get called for that foul.
Well, if this was the same crew from UMass Dartmouth the first time around, we would probably see 5 or 6 more fouls. But this crew has really let them play in the early going. I think all 6 fouls were justified. And certainly a ton of contact there as Charlie Mitchell drives right through the lane and comes back out. Still 22 on the shot clock. Hawkins Jr. will take the baseline jumper and knock it down. And the Beacons are shooting one of their best performances of the season thus far here at home.
They've just come out so explosive in today's game. And they're up to 28 points, and it's only been, 11 minutes in this first half, and I don't think they've scored this many points in the first half in any of their games, actually. They're just coming out with the fire, and I'm sure Coach Harris loves to see that from his team.
Jones well off the mark. We've got a loose ball foul against the Corsairs again. See who this one was. It's either Pinto or Gavin, I believe. Instead, it's going to be Obiora, so that's why you don't guess. For UMass Dartmouth, they'll bring back Atcam and Ashworth, so trying to make a move right now with their starting 5 back on the floor. 8:17 to play. Next stoppage likely will lead us to the immediate timeout. Boyd, another strong drive, can't quite finish, and Hawkins tipped it up. Boyd able to pull it away from Obiora, but loses the ball, and it's into the hands of Williams. In transition, Ashworth ahead for Atcam, and he's swatted away by Hawkins, but Jones is there for the putback. It's not often that it's the UMass Boston player who's making a difference on the defensive end in terms of altering shots, but Hawkins has made his presence known.
Absolutely, and that's something you love to see from Hawkins Jr. He's a senior. He's playing. He realizes that he's playing in his last couple of games, and in such a big game like this, why not go off for a night? Why not you?
Sinelli, an awkward floater off glass as he was nearly losing his balance. Beacon's now shooting over 50%, 12 of 23. There's a rare 3 from Ashworth. First of the game for the Corsairs, now 1 of 6. The other side of the Beacons are 6 of 11 from distance, 54%. Beacons doubling up the Corsairs 30-15, almost 13 minutes in. Boyd will try his hand with another one, too strong, and the rebound falls to Jones. Out ahead for Williams. Atcam has a wide open Ashworth on the near side, looking for 2 straight, and he's a little bit short on the 3. Charlie Mitchell, the local Boston kid, he and his brother played at New Mission High School, won a pair of state titles with the Titans. Hawkins on the block against the smaller Ashworth, can't quite convert. Rebound falls to Obiora. This has been a fast first half. We still haven't gotten into our third immediate timeout, and that'll do it as it's out of bounds off UMass Boston. Almost 14 minutes in, it's UMass Boston 13, UMass Dartmouth 15, 30-15. We'll take a commercial break.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
That was the UMass Boston cheerleading squad coming out and supporting their Beacons. Head coach Jason Harris tweeted out earlier that it was snowing outside. What else do you have to do? So hopefully the crowd has helped. It does look to be a pretty partisan Beacons crowd. If you're watching at home, we appreciate it as well. It's UMass Boston 30-15 with 6:32 to go in half number 1. The Beacons jumped out to a double-digit lead before the Corsairs scored a point and have led by as many as 16. Williams Jr. looking for Obiora on the block, finds him against Lewis Jean back into the game. Jones trying to get it right back for Obiora, who's demanding the ball at this point with 9 on the shot clock. Williams downhill for Jones, the ball fake. Lewis Jean cuts over it. Williams Jr. wide open for 3, too strong, and Sinelli had the rebound, couldn't hold it as he went to the ground, and it's Jones, the putback, as the Beacons struggling a little bit right now on the defensive end.
And Kevin Lewis Jean is such a big presence there in the paint, but when you take James Hawkins off the floor, and I think today's just, I think they flip-flop on games where, they're on and they're off, and I think today is just James Hawkins' day. He's making himself known a little bit more than Kevin Lewis Jean is in this game.
Charlie Mitchell finds Lewis Jean, who can't connect on the 10-footer. Barnes got his hands in on the rebound, but it fell out to Atcam, and then Barnes able to come back and come away with the steal. Just never giving up on the play. Joshua Madi not able to play today, but he's yelling out instructions from the bench. As Boyd able to dribble right past Ashworth and connect.
That's something that as a point guard you love to see when, you're telling the players like, hey, build up on this side, that you get the defense thinking that you're going to go right, and all of a sudden you go left, and that's an easy lane there for Michael Boyd.
Boyd already has 12 as we've got a push off on Obiora. That's 2 on the big man. So he cleared out a pair of Beacons to get that easy lane that won't count. Just the 3rd foul on UMass Dartmouth, but it's 2 on Obiora, the team's leading scorer and rebounder, with their 2nd leading scorer and rebounder unavailable tonight, Amadi, and that is really bad news as Brian Baptiste walks over the ref in frustration as he knows that he's in a tough spot right now. Kicked over to the corner. Barnes lost it off his knee, able to keep it in bounds. Powers looking for a 3. Can't connect and falls into the hands of Atcam. Ahead for Obiora. Put it down with the right hand.
Thankfully, you see a timeout being called there, but thankfully for the Corsairs, the Beacons have gone a little bit ice cold shooting from the 3-point line, which is, a saving grace if you're the Corsairs and you're Coach Baptiste. And, just points in transition if you're the Corsairs, that's what you're looking for, and that's what they just had right there in that last play.
Yeah, we'll take a look real quick at that Arinzi Obiora dunk put down with authority. He's been a little frustrated thus far, and this was a nice feed from Williams. Just look how easy this is for the high flyer, the right-hand dunk for the Nigerian native. Something to watch for UMass Boston as they have led by as many as 16, right now 13. UMass Boston, you love to go into the half, make it 15, 16, even 20. With the way you're playing, you have a chance to put Dartmouth away early on. Beacon's already out there. UMass Dartmouth will send the same 5 with Obiora with 2 fouls. I don't think Brian Baptiste thinks he can afford to take him out of the game with no Amadi, and just 3 available substitutes for today's game. Started the year with 14 players in the team photo. Right now they only have 9 guys on the bench. Powers looks to drive downhill, loses it off of Ashworth, but it falls to Barnes. Down to 8 on the shot clock. Barnes some quick dribbles. Lewis Jean will try from the near side, front rim, no good. And Williams Jr. another rebound. Has it snapped away by Barnes. Barnes in a foot race with Jones, and he goes over the top, can't convert. Beacons are missing some bunnies. Barnes tried to get the steal, and he's called for the reach-in.
And you hate to see it there on ice for Barnes, and as the team picks up their 6th foul here with 4 minutes left in the first half, but he's a guy who he's known for his steals, he's known for his speed and his defense there, but when you don't get that basket on the offensive end, you do get a little bit frustrated, and that leads to these, chippy fouls and unnecessary fouls here. So hate to see it on ice for Barnes, but still good effort on both ends of the court.
6 fouls on the Beacons, 6 fouls on 6 different players. That's Barnes first. Williams Jr. trying to find Obiora, double teamed with Powers coming over to help. Atcam from the wing knocks it down. Just the second 3 for the Corsairs. The Beacons hit 5 early threes, and the deficit is just 10, closest it's been in a while.
And the Beacon scoring has been a little cold here in the last, 5 minutes of this first half. So they got to look for something. It's a little spark, it's a little momentum to get themselves going again.
Lewis Jean, the hook shot, no good. Powers grabs the rebound. He's too strong to put back, and the ball is loose. 2 players fall to the ground. Charles Mitchell is on top of a Corsair, and we're going to get should be either a jump or a foul. The referees haven't indicated one way or another. It's going to be immediate timeout one way or another, and we'll find out what the referees call. They still have not indicated, at least to us up here, which way that's going to go.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
UMass Boston started the day shooting 12 of 23. They're just one of their last 9, which has helped UMass Dartmouth cut the deficit down to a 10-point game. The Beacons still 6 of 13 from distance, 46%, 40% overall from the field. Corsairs are 9 of 25, 36%, and 2 of 9 from distance. 3:25 to play before the half. Gigi, we typically ask this question. What do the Beacons need to do so that Jason Harris is maybe a little bit happier to see me at halftime?
Well, I think the last time we went on immediate timeout, it was 30-15, and now it's 32-22. So the fact that they only got 2 points in a span of, 5 minutes or so, I think that's definitely something that he's going to harp on, that they started the game off really hot, and their intensity was up. But now, especially since, the game hit the 7-minute mark, and they died down a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of coaches talk about winning each 4-minute increment. The Beacons dominated the first 2, but UMass Dartmouth clearly doing better as this game goes along. Williams Jr. wide open from the wing. No one even came out to challenge him. It's a single-digit game for the first time since the Beacons got out to an 11-0 start.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. How you're going to, you're going to be so forceful for the first 10 minutes of this half, and then all of a sudden you're just like, hey, take this wide open 3 and shoot it. Hope you make it in.
Powers pushes it all the way across for Charles Mitchell with 10 on the shot clock. Charles Mitchell back out for Powers. Powers around a Hawkins screen. Hawkins can't quite handle it for Powers with 3, able to finish and 1.
That's just a good move right there by Dan Powers. Him and James Hawkins just working together, Hawkins gets his own rebound, loses the ball a little bit, but just the vision to see that Powers was a little bit open as 2 Corsairs were double-teaming Hawkins.
Just the 14th foul on UMass Dartmouth. And I believe it's going to be on, I thought it was on Marquise Jones, and it is. So that's his second. 2 fouls on Jones, 2 fouls on Obiora as Powers converts the 3-point play to push the lead back out to 10. And we'll see Powers take a seat with Dason Sinelli checking back in. Huge play in a game the Beacons were leading by 7 as they'd gone ice cold, just their second made field goal in about 5 minutes. Beacons go for the steal. Atcam, the 3 from the wing, way too strong. And Gavin and Sinelli get the tie up. It'll go UMass Boston's way as that last play before the most recent media timeout was called a tie up rather than a Beacons reach-in foul. 2:21 left. Sinelli drives baseline, double team blocked by Obiora there. Obiora ahead for Mitchell, finds Ashworth. Ashworth, the wide open pass, and 1 as Atcam is fouled from behind by Charles Mitchell.
And that's what you get there when the Corsairs are they're moving so fast in transition. They're just getting straight to the hoop, and good ball movement there by UMass Dartmouth. And the Beacons they had 3 men on defense, and James Hawkins Jr. just had to commit that foul, but lucky for the Corsairs that they made that basket in for a 3-point play.
Atcam, the 3rd best free throw shooter on the team at 78.6. Hits the lone free throw to improve to 23 of 29 on the year. 2 minutes to go in the half. It's a 8-point Beacons lead. Charlie Mitchell with the floater, and he knocks it down. Beacons try to push this lead back to double digits before the half. Obiora out beyond the 3-point line, not really his range. Backdoor pass for Williams Jr. Try to get it back for Obiora, stolen away by Charlie Mitchell. The high outlet pass for Boyd. Boyd will take the jumper in transition, can't finish, but it's tapped out for Charles Mitchell. Back for his brother Charlie, and the Beacons will set up with a new 30. The Mitchell twins out there with Hawkins Jr., Boyd, and Sinelli, who has the ball right now, pulls up, scoops it off the glass and in, and the lead is 11.
And just the length of Dason Sinelli to be able to do that. He was probably near the foul line on that one and just quick hops up and just lays it right into the basket. That was a great play by him.
Well, it helps when you can stay up in the air for as long as Sinelli can. The Beacons are called there for a little bit of a blocking foul, and this will send the Corsairs to the line. It's the 2nd foul on Charlie Mitchell, first Beacon with multiple fouls. For Brandon Williams Jr., 63.1% free throw shooter. Can't convert on the first. Obiora is in there, and it's off of him. Out of bounds for UMass Boston with 58.3 left in the half. Powers replaces Charlie Mitchell, who just picked up his second foul. Beacons have led by as many as 16, currently leading by 11 late in the first half. Powers needs someone to move. Instead, he'll take it downhill. Hawkins Jr., the 10-footer, and he gets the roll.
Not something that, both James and as well Kevin Lewis, Jean can hit that 10-foot jumper, and that just makes them, that makes them a little bit more versatile bigs that they can't only provide in the paint, but they can also hit that mid-range jumper.
About an 8-second difference between shot clock and game clock. The Beacons should get one last shot. Atcam around the screen, pulls up just outside the paint, out top for Sewell, who's in there, hasn't seen a ton of time. Sewell around the screen, over for Gavin, looks to drive on Sinelli, pulls up from 6 feet. He's short, and the Beacons will get it back with 8 seconds. Sinelli around 2 players for Charles Mitchell. Transition 3 from distance, front rim no good. Falls to Obiora, and that'll do it for half number 1. Beacons led big early by as many as 16. They'll go into the half by 13, and that's got to probably make head coach Jason Harris happy, at least to some degree, after they went ice cold with about 5-6 minutes to go.
Well, I can guarantee Seth he's going to tell you that he hopes that his team come out in the second half the same way that they came out in these first 10 minutes. But we'll take a commercial break right now, and we'll get back with Coach Harris and Seth.
Hi, my name's Carl Joseph. I'm currently a criminal justice major. I'm a senior. I am from Brockton, Massachusetts. In basketball, I play small forward / power forward, and in track, I'm a high jumper. Basketball has always been my first love. The favorite part was probably our win over MIT. Like that was tremendous. I almost came to tears just from where the program has come from where I first came here to where we are now. It's just amazing, and I love it. Honestly, I was recruited for basketball. My high school coach actually emailed the track coach here, and she walked into the gym one day and it was just like, here, you, come talk to me. And I was on the track team. It really wasn't much of a choice. It was a great honor my freshman year, just being able to become an All-American, finishing 4th in my first ever national championship meet. It was quite the time of my life. My junior year, we received our LEC championship rings from our sophomore year. And coming in into my freshman year at UMass, I was able to witness the volleyball team win their championship and the soccer team, and the only thing that I really wanted was a ring of my own.
Here's Joseph knifing through.
Funny thing is, I actually work here as well. I am one of the Zamboni drivers to our men's and women's hockey teams, and that's what I do for part-time. Being a student here at campus, I can honestly tell you, is quite different from anywhere else you could possibly go. Just the student body here is amazing. I mean, the teachers are amazing. All the teachers that I've had never hesitated to help me out in any way that they could have, from extra help to me going into their offices just to talk about what's going on in the classes and just keep me on track.
My head coach, Jason Harris. Coach, one of the best starts we've seen all season at home. You went offensively 4 or 5 minutes late, but pushed it back out to 13. Offensively, how happy are you with your execution, the fact that you're hitting some shots here after a strong offensive performance on Saturday?
Actually, Seth, I'm kind of disappointed in our offensive execution. I feel like our defense generated a lot of that offense for us. And then, because we had a hot start, we started doing heat checks. Guys started showing us how good they are offensively instead of just staying in the system, that got us up 16. So I'm hoping we can kind of stop settling right now. I mean, we're shooting the ball well, 43 from 3. I just don't know if you can sustain that over 40 minutes, especially in a league game. Brian's got a lot of pride. These guys are desperate right now. It's going to be a close game in the second half, and I just don't know if we're jacking jump shots. We took 1 free throw. That's not a recipe to win in the Little East.
Dartmouth only seems to have 8 available players today. Knowing that, do you maybe push even the pace a little bit harder or try to see if you can get a couple of those guys in the foul trouble? Obiora already has 2, and obviously he's a key guy for them.
Yeah, we're going to try, but at the same time, I kind of feel like we lose our identity when we run a little too much. We lose control over our possessions on offense, and we get a little loose, and we want our guys making plays and being confident, but at the same time, we're not shooting a great percentage on the year, and so we got to make sure we're maximizing our possessions, and I don't know if we can do that necessarily if we're trying to fly up and down the court. It's about being fast but not in a hurry, I guess.
Control tempo?
Control tempo.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Good luck in the second half. We'll head up top right now and take a look from the men's basketball's last home game. That was a win over the University of Southern Maine 2 weeks ago.
Brother Charles gets 2 strong rebounds.
Mitchell will try his hand at the first one. Nice groping along the baseline. Strong drive with the left hand. The main scoring line straight. And Harris was on. Last couple weeks. Stepped up in the second best score. Charlie Mitchell gives it up for the North. And Scott into a gotcha for 3. Orange eventually collects with time at 14. Boyd still looking for those first points. Mitchell from the same exact time. Howard just inside of the 3. 50 on the sideline. Finds the talent. And 1. And on angle. Goes up like a quarterback. Howard. Charles Mitchell. Wide open. White down low. Boyd gets it. We see Mike here in the second half. Good defensive play. Waterman left all alone. From a immediate side out is White. Cast back up top for Boyd. 6 in the shot clock. Boyd over for Barnes. Takes the 3 from the wing. White gets it. Throws it over to Beacon. Beacon's have numbers. 3 on 2. And it's 6. Curly 56-54 in favor of UMass Boston. 56-55. Very close. Daddy over for Waterman. That's the deep 3 and knocks it down all the way back to the top. Howard puts the handle, finds Finelli.
UMass Boston leads UMass Dartmouth 41-28 through the first 20 minutes. The Beacons earned a 72-68 win over UMass Dartmouth down at UMass Dartmouth. The Beacons have won just once in their last 11 home games here against the Corsairs. A chance to not only win their 3rd straight game, but earn their first home win against the Corsairs since 2015. Take a look right now at the halftime statistics, and Gigi, at least for most of that first half, the Beacons were on fire offensively. And it's a huge reason why they're leading by 13 here at the break.
And some of that just sticks out to me there, Seth, is the turnovers. And I really thought that the Beacons were a little bit more evened out there with the Corsairs in terms of turnovers. But guess I'm mistaken there. But the 3-point field goal percentage right there, as you can see, it's dominating by the Beacons. And, you know, the Corsairs might not be a big 3-point shooting team, but, you know, they're managing to get their points in other ways, and they're getting the points in the paint, they're getting points in transition. And as Coach Harris said, you know, they came off with an explosive start to the game, and then they died down a little bit. And you can't just have, you know, these little spurts and these little runs in basketball. It's got to be something that's consistent.
Well, with no Joshua Madi, Corsairs are actually being out-rebounded by UMass Boston 21-17. That's not what the season statistics would have predicted. I will give UMass Dartmouth a lot of credit. They do have 9 turnovers, but they have 9 assists on 11 field goals. So they've been very unselfish. Good to see from Brian Baptiste's side. Right now we'll take a look at the team leaders for UMass Boston. 2 players in double figures. Michael Boyd has 12, along with Dan Powers. On the other side, for UMass Dartmouth, they're led by Atkam with 12. Obiora has 6 points on 2 of 4 shooting. He also leads the team with his 7 rebounds. Thus far, it really has seemed to be the Boyd and Power show for UMass Boston, as those 2 guys, not only aggressive on offense, but Powers leading UMass Boston with his 6 rebounds, and Boyd's also tacked on an assist and 3 steals.
Yeah, and, you know, a name that's usually up on this board that isn't today is, you know, Charles Mitchell, I should say. But he's got 6 points. He's shooting well from the 3-point range. And sorry there, a little hiccup there. You know, it's almost flu season here, Seth. Actually, it is flu season. You know, it's going around here left and right. But anyway, So you see Charles Mitchell having a great game still, but Michael Boyd and Dan Powers, they're getting the job done over here for the Beacons, and you couldn't ask more from those two.
Right now, we'll move along and take a look around the rest of the Little East Conference. No other games tonight. Keene State and Eastern Connecticut State will play tomorrow, as will Plymouth State and Southern Maine. Rhode Island College and WestCon will wait to play until Monday night. Before we get back to live action, we'll take a look right now at the highlights with the original audio from half number 1. Still 5 minutes to go before the start of half number 2. Game high 24 and was able to get to the hoop at will. Powers a deep 3, knocks it down for Mitchell, is able to get around Ashworth. Powers the strong drive and just able to put it over. Charles Mitchell for Hawkins in the lane. Back out for Boyd from the corner. 11-0 UMass Boston. UMass Boston, the first game, the team's leading scorer. Charles Mitchell from the near wing with 2 on the shot clock, and he knocks it down.
They played this season is their height from their bigs.
Barnes from straightaway knocks it down. That's one way to do it. Charles wears 5 into the corner for Charles Mitchell. Knocks it down again. The Beacons have been rolled into the hands of Atcam. Ahead for Obi Oral. Put it down with the right hand. UMass Dartmouth clearly doing better as this game goes along. Williams Jr. wide open from the wing. No one even came out in screen. Hawkins can't quite handle it for Powers with 3. Able to finish and 1. Ashworth, the wide open pass and 1 as Atcam. 4 minutes to go before the start of half number 2. Real quick, we'll take a look around the rest of Beaconville. A big weekend for quite a few teams, either close to closing out the regular season or starting postseason play. UMass Boston Indoor Track and Field competing in the LEC Championship Saturday at Rhode Island College. That's the beginning of, really, they started their postseason play this past weekend at the NEI-CAA Championships, and now they'll have their conference championship on Saturday. Women's basketball, they fell 68-53 to UMass Dartmouth. UMass Dartmouth now leads by 2 games atop the LEC standings over UMass Boston with 3 games to play and has the tiebreaker. So the Beacons pretty much looking at the 2 seed if they can hold off Southern Maine, who sits 1 game back with 1 extra game to play. Women's hockey, the 2 seed in the upcoming New England Hockey Conference tournament has 2 games left. They're at Plymouth State on Friday at 6, and men's hockey, 2 games left in their regular season as well. They'll host New England College on Friday at 7 p.m. Real quick, let's take a look ahead for this UMass Boston men's team. Even if they were to lose today, they have by far the easier schedule as compared to UMass Dartmouth. They're at Plymouth State and Southern Maine, 2 teams that are at the bottom of the LEC standings, and then close it out against Western Connecticut State, currently sitting 3rd in the conference. On the other side, UMass Dartmouth still has to play the top 2 teams in the LEC, home against both EastCon and Keene State, who will play tomorrow night down at Eastern Connecticut State. Take a look right now at one more commercial break before we head back to live action with the Beacons leading by 13 through 20 minutes.
For the love of the game. That's what it's all about, they say. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team and the schools and communities we represent.
And for the many of us blessed with the strength to compete in sport at the college level, we understand that with what we were given comes a special obligation.
An obligation not merely to work towards a personal best in the classroom or in the sport we love, but rather an obligation to help those who have their own special needs and whose love for the game is no less intense.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. For Special Olympics athletes, victory belongs not only to those who first cross the line, but to all of those who compete and endure.
They are challenged in ways we cannot imagine. They are survivors who test themselves harder and with greater joy than we will ever know.
Since August of 2011, we and others from Division III campus communities have volunteered more than 250,000 hours, time away from the classroom and practice field. reaching across the country to coach and mentor Special Olympics athletes.
And to learn, as we all do, that in giving we receive so much more in return.
Sport ennobles us, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
Be part of it.
Get involved.
You can make a difference.
"15 seconds to go before the start of half number 2. The Beacons will go with Hawkins Jr., Sinelli, Powers, Boyd, and Charles Mitchell. Same starting 5 that they went with in the first half. Still waiting for UMass Dartmouth 5 out there. Gigi, what's the biggest key for UMass Boston here in the first 5 to 10 minutes? If they're not only going to beat UMass Dartmouth, but maybe if they can earn, we haven't seen this Beacons team earn any easy wins in conference plays. They sit at 5-5. What do the Beacons need to do to potentially pull away from the Corsairs?
They need to be more offensively inclined. I think that they're doing a good job on defense, but their baskets aren't falling so much as they were in the first couple of minutes of that first half. So definitely come out a little bit more explosive, just like they did in that first couple of minutes of the game.
Same starting 5 for the Corsairs as Sinelli picks away the pass of Jones. It's Jones, Obiora, Ashworth, Atcam, and Williams Jr. out there for the Corsairs in the Navy Blues. Boyd dribbles to the near side, finds Hawkins Jr. He'll try his hand at a deep jumper that's well off the mark, only catches the backboard. Atcam, the leading scorer for the Corsairs with 12 in the first half, slides it across the near side. He's looking for a backdoor cut, instead passes it back out top with 18 on the shot clock. Williams Jr., a little bit of a mismatch working at Sinelli, who's more of a 3 or a 4. Atcam runs into the baseline, and now it's Williams Jr. It's a slow release, but it's worked well. He's got 2 threes in the game, and the deficit is 10. Williams Jr. has 2 threes on 4 attempts. The team as a whole, just 4 of 12. As Boyd gets another roll. He has just been so good against UMass Dartmouth. 24 in the first game. He's already got 14 with 18:39 remaining in regulation.
And we talked about at the beginning of the game how Dan Powers is that spark for the Beacons offense, but in tonight's game and even in last week's game, Michael Boyd has been that person, that go-to, scoring person for them, and he can hit that 3 and he can hit the mid-range jumper and he can get that layup in. He's just a speedy, he's a versatile player.
Powers called for the kickball. 20 on the shot clock. Atcam looking for Jones. Now he'll look to drive. Finds Ashworth from the free throw line. And that's where Jake Ashworth is so effective. The conference's leading free throw shooter at over 90%. Cut the deficit back to 10. Boyd will try to answer, way too strong. Side of the backboard, and Williams takes a hip check there from Sinelli. Both guys a little bit slow after that play. Sinelli limps back down the defensive end.
See, the good thing about the Beacons and giving up these fouls is I don't think that there's more than one player on this Beacons team that has more than 1 fouls. They did give up about 7 or 8 fouls in that first half, but they're all to different players, which is, something good and bad on both ends, but something that the Beacons don't want to do is give up those easy, cheap fouls at the beginning of the second half and have them accumulate towards the end of the game.
Atcam downhill once again, gets to the paint, but not much further. Lost his dribble, goes down low. Obior the offensive board, and he finishes over Sinelli. Obior limited to just 6 points in the first half, with Amadi not available tonight. He's the team's leading scorer coming into the game at 17.7 points per game. They had to replace Amadi's 16.3 points and 8.4 rebounds and have struggled to do so. Powers downhill looking for Hawkins Jr. It's tapped out of bounds. The Beacons will retain possession with 12 on the shot clock.
With the momentum Powers had on that, I really thought he was going to go up for that layup or at least try to draw a foul on that play. Instead, he chose the selfless route there and try to get that pass off. Luckily, the Beacons still have possession of the ball.
Boyd back out top with 8. Looking to come back to the near side for Charles Mitchell. Mitchell around the Boyd screen, knocks it down from the near wing. Beacons led by as many as 16 in the first half. They've been leading by about 7 to 10 over the last 7 or 8 minutes of game time. Williams finds Ashworth for another free throw line jumper in. might be his spot as he has hit 2 in a row. Also a terrific three-point shooter.
When you get a player, every player kind of has their little sweet spot. You know, Charles Mitchell he likes that corner three. Michael Boyd likes it a little, more towards the middle of the court. And get a guy like Axworth who just really likes that mid-range jumper right there, and he's a great free throw shooter, so why not make it a mid-range jumper as well?
Ashworth with 4 points in the second half after just 3 in the first half. Powers the answer with the floater in the lane, and we've got a foul on Powers. He was saying that Atcam tried to clear him out. Instead, it'll be foul number 2 on Dan Powers, joining Charlie Mitchell with 2 on the Beacons. Jones and Obiora each had 2 in the first half of the Corsairs. Williams Jr. down low for Obiora, over the top of Hawkins, and the rebound falls to Powers. Close to the first media timeout as Boyd will take a deep 2, unable to connect, but the long rebound ends up in the hands of the Beacons. Hawkins wants it right back, working in the smaller Williams Jr., and that's a smart foul by UMass Dartmouth's point guard.
Yeah, and it's something that Coach Harris talked to you about, Seth, during halftime, is that sometimes the Beacons player, and you saw Michael Boyd do that a little bit there, is they're a little bit too selfish with the ball, and you got a shot clock. Try to waste it down a little bit, try to break their defense down, and that's a great move there by, Hawkins Jr. and just Dan Powers, seeing him on that play right there. But, maybe give it a little bit more, give your shot clock a little bit more time. There's no need to take a shot off when there's only 5 seconds.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that last Beacons bucket. A really nice play design from UMass Boston out of the inbounds as they use their 2 bigs to open up some space for Hawkins. Ashworth with the response. He's hit 3 jumpers already here in the second half. The floater from Charles Mitchell, no good. Williams Jr. off the hand of Powers, ahead for Ashworth, and he's got 8 in the early going. The Beacons lead is 9. We'll take a break with the teams. First media timeout of half number 2. The Beacons lead has been cut to 9.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
While we've got a moment, we'll take a look at that inbounds play, and it's a perfectly executed play by the Beacons' 2 senior bigs. You see Powers is the inbounder, finds Hawkins, then the handoff, and Hawkins slips underneath as Obiora rushes out. It's an easy basket as Hawkins misses the first, tips it in, and really that reminds me a little bit of the play calling we saw on Sunday from the Philadelphia Eagles. Sometimes you need to come up with those perfect plays, those aggressive plays to keep yourself in the lead. As I talked to my cameraman, Alex Carasoto, another Philadelphia Eagles fan, and we said we'd get 1 reference in both games. We're done. We're sorry, Patriots fans, for your loss. Gigi, 9-point game right now. The Corsairs winning those first 4 minutes. They won the 4 minutes between the 8 and 4 minute mark of the first half as the Beacons turn it over. Right now, Corsairs are the team with all the momentum at this point of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and you see there on that play, and it seems like right now, like Ackman is just going running up and down the court like crazy, and the entire Corsairs team, it seems like they have that little fire in them that they want this game a little bit more than the Beacons do right now, and I'm sure Coach Harris is going to address that to his team at the next time out, that they just need to get that fire going.
Charles Mitchell short on the 3, gets his own rebound and is fouled. That's a big one with Mitchell going up amongst 3 Corsairs players. I mean, this Corsairs team has 8 guys available, but I would say in terms of heart, they've had a little bit more of it tonight. They've been able to fight back from that red-hot start by UMass Boston. Beacons on the other side have only played 8 guys, but if they needed to, they have 15 available for tonight's contest. Charles Mitchell, not one of the better free throw shooters on the Beacons, knocks down the second, and the lead is 9 once again.
Beacons are going really small here. They took out Dan Powers and brought in Iser Barnes, and Hawkins Jr. is their only big man right now.
Well, the issue for UMass Dartmouth is with Noah Madi, unless you bring on Gavin, who's just a freshman, doesn't see a ton of time, then you don't have a second dominant big, with the exception of Akam, who plays more like a 3 than he does a 4 or a 5. Williams Jr. has all the moves in his tool belt as he's able to dribble around. Sewell, though, can't make the catch. Now we've got a tie-up between Boyd and Sewell, and the possession arrow in favor of UMass Boston.
I really thought we were going to see a little bit of some extracurricular there between Boyd and Sewell on that play, but, you know, both playing as professionals. But then again, you get a Corsairs team that's, you know, cut this deficit down to 9 points, where at one point it was, I think it was at 15 or 16 in the first half, is the Beacon's biggest lead. And little by little, they're chipping away at this Beacon's lead. And if I'm Coach Harris right now, you got to, something's got to change. You know, you got to play some better defense. You got to get your shots going. And Charlie Mitchell does that right there.
Yeah, Mitchell just onto the court for Boyd, knocks down a jumper just inside the free throw line. Kevin Lewis-Jean waiting to check in for UMass Boston, the scorer's table. 11-point lead at this point. Cam looking to drive into the paint. He'll stop, pop from the free throw line, well short. Rebound bounces out, and it's out of bounds off the Beacons. Never caught the rim, though. So the shot clock down to 12 with Hawkins Jr. replaced by Lewis-Jean. We have a pair of players who have the prefix of junior, and neither of them are juniors. James Hawkins Jr., a senior for the Beacons. Brandon Williams Jr., a sophomore for the Corsairs. Just a fun fact for me. Sewell pulls up in transition, well at the mark. Another air ball. Another time it ends up off the Beacons.
You can see Charles Mitchell there. He was a little upset that he couldn't get a grip on that ball. And that just gives the Corsairs another possession.
They just reset the shot clock, but it didn't come close to hitting the front of the rim at all. That is a very confusing call by a referee group as Obiora makes the catch, and he would have beaten the shot clock nonetheless. I mean, that didn't take 3 seconds, but that's a very interesting call from the refs there. The Corsairs cut it back to 9.
And you see the Corsairs now starting to play a little bit of some more full court defense here. Trying to get, you know, turnovers, forcing some turnovers here with the Beacons guards.
Backdoor cut. Charlie looking for Charles, and Charles Mitchell couldn't make the catch. Got a stoppage, and the question is it out of bounds off the Corsairs, as Jones was awfully close to the sideline, or a jump ball, and it is a jump ball. Possession arrow in favor of the Corsairs.
Well, Corsairs now they really have a chance now to cut the lead a little short. If they can get a three-pointer here, cut that deficit down to 6 points, and all of a sudden they're right back into this game. Not to say that they aren't right now.
Well, they were able to cut it to 7 once late in the first half. That's as close as they've been. Beacons ran out to a double-digit lead in the first couple of minutes. Stretched it out to 16, and right now they are trying to clean up some of the wet spots just outside the Beacons offensive paint. Beacons going in some full-court pressure. Williams Jr. working against Charles Mitchell, both of these guys from the Boston area. Williams Jr. from Dorchester. Charlie and Charles Mitchell from Boston. As Obiora is fouled there by Lewis-Jean, and this should be 2 free throws for the Nigerian. Arinzi played his high school ball not too far away in Brookline. Originally from Lagos, Nigeria. That's just the second foul on Lewis-Jean. So Obiora knocks down the first. He's a 74.5% free throw shooter. Sewell checks out. Ashworth back in there.
Obiora is not a guy who gets a lot of time off on the bench and gets to rest, and he played all 20 minutes in that first half, and probably likely to see him play all 20 minutes here in the second half. He's going to have a 40-minute game for the Corsairs today, so he's definitely a threat for the Beacons.
Charlie Mitchell stayed up in the air for a long time and threw up an acrobatic laying off the glass. The Beacons answer 2 points for the Corsairs with 2 of their own. Wide open Ashworth in the corner. That's their best three-point shooter. Can't connect this time as Jones nearly drew the offensive rebound amongst 4 white shirts. Beacons playing with a little bit of fire right now. Charlie Mitchell looking to do the same thing, drives down low, draws contact, and he'll head to the line for two. Atacam will be charged with this personal.
Well, let me tell you, Seth, from experience, when a little person goes up against a big person like that, it's so easy for you to draw that contact and, just get yourself to the line, and that's exactly what Charlie does, and he does a great job of it, and oftentimes he even gets the basket and goes for a three-point play.
Charlie hits the first free throw. I was convinced it was Atacam who was going to be called for the foul. Instead, it's the third on Marquise Jones, first player for the Corsairs with 3 fouls. Atacam still hasn't been called for one. For Charlie Mitchell, shooting at 66.1% from the free throw line. As the Beacons made full-scale changes around him, it's Boyd, Charles Mitchell, Powers, and Hawkins Jr. out there alongside Charles Mitchell. Corsairs will stay with the same 5, down by 12. Obiora working against Hawkins. Powers comes over to help, and Obiora finishes nonetheless.
Well, see, on that play, you got Dan Powers, who he slides over, and he realizes that Hawkins Jr. is getting beat there by Obiora, and he gets the help in. At that point, you put your hands up straight, and if the guy hits it, he hits it. It's a good basket. If not, he's going to get a foul drawn there.
Powers goes downhill but throws it up awkwardly and can't convert. Williams Jr. looking to answer over the top of the smaller Charlie Mitchell. Gavin just into the game, grabs the offensive rebound, and the deficit is back to 8. Corsairs haven't been able to push it closer than 7, but the Beacons also haven't been able to extend it out past 12 or 13 since their hot start. Be interested to see if either team can change that over the next 4 or 5 minutes. Hawkins Jr. working on Obiora. Gives it back up for Charlie Mitchell and calls for it on the block. With 9 on the shot clock. Back out top for Powers. For Charlie Mitchell looking for Charles. And it's out of bounds off the hands of Williams Jr. Beacons will have 5 seconds and immediate timeout to come up with a play. With 11:20 to go, we've hit our second immediate timeout of half number 2.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
Beacons with 5 seconds. They'll inbound with Charlie Mitchell. Finds Charles Mitchell guarded by Arinzi Obiora. Over for Sinelli, a contested 3. Front rim no good. Rebound falls out of bounds off the Corsairs. So the Beacons don't quite get the shot they were looking for, but still able to get the ball back. That play took 6 seconds with just 5 on the shot clock. Sinelli working on the bigger Obiora, has a wide open Charles Mitchell in front of his own bench, and he's too strong. Another offensive rebound finds Powers, who's blocked from behind, and Gavin tries to find Sewell. 2 players go to the floor. Sinelli can't make the catch, and the Corsairs have a chance in transition. Obiora all alone down low. Instead, it's Atacam who's fouled on the reach in by Charlie Mitchell. That's his 3rd. Give it to Boyd instead. Some really interesting player choices on some of these fouls as Obiora makes the catch but can't convert on a wide open lay-in. The Beacons were caught sleeping, but the Corsairs unable to capitalize. The second on Michael Boyd for UMass Boston. Powers to the near side for Boyd, working on Ashworth, 2 great 3-point shooters. Boyd throws up the floater over Obiora, can't convert, and Charlie Mitchell makes the interception of the day. What a beautiful steal. Boyd for Charles Mitchell from distance knocks it down. Huge three as both teams had chances to make an impact. Instead, it's the Beacons stretching it out to 11.
I think that's exactly the spark that the Beacons needed. Charles Mitchell has been a little bit quiet throughout this entire game. He's only hit like 1 or 2 threes, which he's used to hitting like 4 or 5. And he might be getting going in these last 10 minutes of this game.
Obiora responds with the nice move, going to his left to finish with the right hand. Under 10 minutes to go. It's a 9-point lead. The Beacons have led the entire way, looking to move to 6-5 in conference play. Take a 2-game lead on the Corsairs for 4th place. Another offensive rebound for UMass Boston. Charles Mitchell from even deeper can't convert, but Power's the only player who goes for it. Corsairs maybe getting a little bit tired with a shorter rotation as Jones will head to the scorer's table. We've barely seen Pinto, so it's basically been 7 guys. Boyd with the N1, and the Beacons have stretched the lead back out to 11.
And Michael Boyd doing what he does best is he's powering through. He's a great driver to the basket. He's got that left-hand advantage that not many people do, and he just goes strong to the basket, and that's what every coach wants. You want to go strong to the basket, you get the 2 points, and you get the foul on top of it.
First foul on Jake Ashworth, 4th on the Corsairs, 4 fouls on both teams. Boyd converts the free throw. We'll see Brandon Williams Jr. come on to replace Matthew Sewell. Boyd on the year, one of the Beacons' best free throw shooters, 76.2%. And he has just been red hot, double-digit points in 8 of his last 9, 14 times as a freshman. As Hawkins Jr. skied for the rebound, couldn't hold on. And now we've got the Corsairs a chance for the 3-point play with Atcam converting on the lay-in and Hawkins Jr. hacking him from behind.
That's something that you hate to do that. You hate to trade baskets with someone when you make such a great play on the offensive end and you look to get a stop on the defensive end, but then they end up doing the same exact thing that you just did, and the momentum quickly shifts. And in a game where there's only 9 minutes left and it's such a close 10-point game as it is now, you don't want that momentum shifting left and right.
Atcam missed it was Obiora with the rebound, and Ashworth hits the 3 on the kick out. It's a 7-point deficit after a 5-point possession for the Corsairs. Great response for UMass Dartmouth. That's the Beacons. It stretched out to 12. Looked like they might have some momentum. Charles Mitchell downhill. Drops it off for Sinelli with 10 on the shot clock. Working on Jones. Pushes it out for Charles Mitchell right in front of his own bench. Thought about the 3 instead. Finds Sinelli who can't make the catch with 2. Charlie Mitchell will try a 3. Front rim no good, but another offensive rebound. It's that 3, maybe 4 possessions in a row with an offensive rebound for the Beacons. Killing some clock here. Boyd the pull-up 3. He's too strong. The rebound tapped around. Finds Jones. Obiora all alone with the smaller Charles Mitchell and the foul on the floor. Charles unhappy with the call, but again, Gigi, when you're in a situation like that as a guard, anything is better than the easy 2 or potential 3-point play.
And he's lucky that that foul is on. It's on the floor and it's not a shooting foul. But like you said, Seth, you'd rather give him the opportunity to maybe get a turnover here, get a steal, rather than give those 2 easy points, and then all of a sudden it's a 5-point game.
Second foul on Charles Mitchell. He'll head to the bench. Obiora over Hawkins, and we've got another reaching foul on the Beacons. This will lead to 2 free throws for Obiora. The Beacons are steadily picking up fouls. That's now 7 on UMass Boston and 3 in a row. 2 of them coming against Hawkins, who now has 3 for the game. Obiora already hit 2 his last time, make it 3 now. And the deficit is as short as it's been since it was 6-0 back in half number 1. Obiora a chance to cut it even shorter. He misses the second. Baptiste screaming at his team to get back on defense. 64-58, 8:03 to play. Beacons turn it over. It's Williams Jr. getting a knee on it. Charles Mitchell comes hard. Contact, no foul, and the Beacons fortunate to still have a 2-possession lead.
And that could have gone really bad there for the Beacons, but at the same time, if you're the Corsairs, you have to finish in transition like that, but Charles Mitchell's just really good at timing exactly when he's going to show up, and he didn't even make contact. I think his presence of just being there might have scared Williams Jr. a little bit.
Hawkins working against the smaller player, can't finish, but Powers another offensive rebound. The Beacons are dominating the Corsairs right now on the offensive glass. Boyd looking for options, 20 on the shot clock, driving on Williams Jr., and he can't quite finish. Hawkins Jr. goes up with the tip, and he's fouled. We'll get 2 free throws from James Hawkins Jr. after the media timeout. That's the 4th foul on Marquise Jones, the sophomore out of Randolph, so he's in some serious foul trouble. And they finally recognize that we are due for immediate timeout. We'll take it along with the teams. UMass Boston in a dogfight right now, up by 6 with 7:18 to play.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
$7:18 to go. The Beacons will need to hit their free throws down the stretch. On the day, the Beacons are 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Hawkins Jr. yet to attempt one. Former Bridgewater State player who joined the Beacons for his senior season. Can't connect on the first, so there's the broadcaster's curse as the Beacons now 6 of 7. Hawkins Jr. on the season, now just 5 of 13 from the free throw line. And make it 6 of 14. So 1 of 2 from the free throw line pushes the lead back to 7 with 7:11 to go. Ashworth being guarded closely by Charles Mitchell. Williams Jr. tries to force the pass. Hawkins Jr. has it stripped away. Powers loses it. Don't even think it was touched by the Corsairs. Now the Corsairs have numbers the other way. Brandon Williams all the way to the tin, and one opportunity with Boyd sliding over. And all of a sudden, we have ourselves a potential great finish here at the Clark.
And that's just, if you're Dan Powers right there, you're a little angry at yourself for missing that in transition right there. And I don't even know if that might have hit off his knee or what happened on that play, but giving up that turnover and then having him score in transition, and Michael Boyd just giving up that foul for a three-point play, and now he's picked up his third, and there's still 6 minutes left in this game, and the Beacons got to start watching their fouls.
Williams Jr. connects, as we'll see Sewell replace him. Corsairs really have just been going with 7 in this game. Right now they have Gavin and Sewell, 2 of their players who didn't start the game, out there, along with Obior, who's played the whole way, Atcam and Ashworth. 4-point Beacons lead with still 6:48 to go. It's out of bounds off the Corsairs. Short respite for Dan Powers, who will replace Charlie Mitchell. Was only off for 1 possession. Powers right back for Charles Mitchell. Takes the crossover 3 and knocks it down. Jake Ashworth tried to stick close, couldn't stick close enough, and Charles Mitchell has been the Beacons' best source of offense over the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that, and then you get those moments of transition there for the Beacons where Michael Boyd in the first half was being kind of like their go-to offensive scorer, and then it turned to Dan Powers, and now all of a sudden Charles Mitchell showing of why he's averaging, the points that he's averaging per game. I believe he leads the team in scoring for the season. So he's a threat from the three-point line. The Corsairs have to start realizing that.
Sinelli, the huge block from behind after the Corsairs looked like they have an easy 2-on-1, swatting it away on Gavin's look after Obiora was unselfish.
I think that was Hawkins Jr. over there, Seth.
Oh, no, I think it was Sinelli. It was not as much. Well, we'll take a look at the highlight. Hawkins Jr. has a chance, but a nice finish there from Adcam using the rim to help it. And I was told I was wrong. So congratulations, James. You've had a nice defensive game tonight. Snelly's certainly capable of similar plays. The lead is 5 now with 5:30 to go. Boyd around a pair of screens. Powers from straight away. Way too strong. Didn't even catch iron.
I think he had to set his feet a little bit quicker on that play there, Seth. And he's just trying to get rid of that ball too soon, and there's no one around him.
See a Corsairs timeout with 5:13 to go. This is the closest it's been since it was 3-0 UMass Boston in the first 45 seconds. 68-65 with 5:13 to go. We'll take a commercial break, and then we'll take a look at that block from behind as James Hawkins Jr. kept this game a little bit further apart than it could have been.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Take a look right now at that replay on the 2-on-1 break. It looked like the Corsairs were going to have an easy bucket. Obiora over there to Gavin, and it's Hawkins Jr. timing it and swatting it to prevent the Corsairs from scoring. A huge play in the course of this game. Beacons are only up 3 right now, and GG, at this point, it just looks like UMass Boston has put themselves maybe into in the first gear a little bit early. They just have not had the same kind of hustle and commitment that we saw early on.
Well, that's what happens when you come out, guns blazing during a game, is you come out at the very beginning and all of a sudden you're red hot and your team's, running up and down the court. But then you expect that as a fan and as someone who's watching the game, and you're just like, hey, this is going to keep going throughout the entire game. And then when that starts to die down in the first 10 minutes of the first half, you're like, hey, we got to find a way to get back into the way that we were for the first 10 minutes of this game. And the Beacons still have not managed to find a way to get there.
7 seconds on the shot clock, 4:50 to go in the game. Boyd's got to make some magic. Boyd pulls up and hits it off the glass. 2 players in front of him and still able to convert. Where would the Beacons be without Michael Boyd? He has been so good against UMass Dartmouth in both games this year. Jones looks to drive, has Powers all over him. Powers gets a hand in, and it's Boyd with the steal. Boyd has it tapped away from behind by Obiora, gets it back. Charles Mitchell spots up from the corner and drains it.
And that's a shot Charles Mitchell loves to hit. He loves those corner threes, and he's so lethal.
All of a sudden, the Beacons lead by 8 after a 5-0 run out of the timeout. Adcam will have something to say about it as he was fouled there. It's the 3rd foul on Charles Mitchell. Not sure if it was a shooting foul or not. Either way, this will lead to free throws. The Beacons have been whistled 9 times here in the half. It is a 1-and-1. Adcam for the day is 1 of 2. The Corsairs is a team 6 of 10 from the free throw line. Beacons are 7 of 8. Adcam drains the first. It's one of a number of players that the Corsairs have gotten out of Turkey. Adcam out of Ankara, Turkey. Mert Sert was a all-conference honoree a year ago. Did not return this year. They also lost another big Nick Portalance, along with a couple of seniors who earned all-conference honors a season ago. They lost all 4 players who were honored either as all-conference players, all-rookie, all-defensive. Powers stripped by Williams Jr. 6-point lead, the ball thrown ahead for Obiora, and it's stolen away by Charles Mitchell. Throws it ahead for Powers. 1-on-1 with Ashworth, draws contact, and it's a charge.
And that's something you hate to see there, and that's just a great play all around there by the Beacons to get that steal. Now it's a good look by Mitchell to find Powers, and he took a look back and he took a peek over his shoulder to see that it was 1-on-1, and in that situation you just have to connect. You have to get that basket going. And just a great play there by the Corsairs to realize that he just had to set his feet, take that charge, take one for the team.
We'll take a break along with the teams. This was our final media time out of the game. 3:44 to go. It's a 6-point Beacons lead.
People at UMass Boston, they're here because they know they can have an impact, not just on research, but on people, on their students.
This is just a starting point. It only has potential to grow, and it has a big potential to grow up.
You're really having a direct impact on people's lives, and you can see that now, and you can see that years from now.
So I think it's becoming like the place that people want to go.
What UMass Boston is able to offer to its young people certainly stands out to that mission that was set right out in the beginning. It's something UMass Boston should be and can be very proud about.
UMass Boston will go with Charles Mitchell, Iser Barnes, Mike Boyd, James Hawkins Jr., and Dason Sinelli. On the other side, it'll be Atcam, Jones, Obiora, Williams Jr., and Ashworth, the starting five for the Corsairs. 3:44 to go, and the Beacons bring out Barnes. Gigi, he's a guy who defensively and with his leadership might be a guy who can change this game right now.
Yeah, Iser Barnes is known. He's known for his defense, and he's a great defensive player. He can also produce on the offensive end. And when you got some of the Beacons players who are in foul trouble here and there, you bring him into the game, see if he can put some lockdown D and get some stops.
Obiora knocks down the 4-foot shot just over the top of Hawkins Jr. He has come alive here in the second half. 18 points after just 6 in the first half. Barnes with 13 on the shot clock. The Beacons have really been killing a lot of clock. Need to get a good look off here. With 8, Sinelli being guarded by the longer Obiora. Drives baseline for Boyd, around for Charles Mitchell. Barnes with 2, takes the long contested 2. It's too strong, but the rebound falls to the Beacons. UMass Boston has had so many offensive rebounds here in the second half on loose balls. Boyd drives down the lane, can't quite convert. It's tapped around, ends up in the hands of Atcam. 2:35 left, and the Beacons' lead is just 4. Tapped around, and it stays with the Corsairs. Atcam driving baseline, needs help. Finds Obiora just inside the free throw line, working on Hawkins Jr., and they're going to call a foul after a little bit of indecision. Obiora will have a chance to cut this to the closest it's been since the Beacons made a basket in this game. They led originally 11-0 after hitting a 3 early, and if Obiora hits both, make it a 2-point game, as that's now 2 fouls on Iser Barnes.
And if you're the Beacons here, you got to be a little upset. I'm sure Coach Harris is upset with that and that call that you got there real quick. But especially in conference play, Seth, and we saw the same exact thing happen in the women's game, where these referees kind of have to make their decisions a little bit quicker and a little bit sooner. And you know, you got to let a little contact go here and there. Obviously, you don't want it to turn out into, you know, a big brawl or anything. But in a game that's so close like this with so much on the line, it's got to be a little bit crisper.
Obiora knocks down both. A 2-point game with 2:22 to go in the second half, in the second meeting between these two teams. The first game ended 72-68 in favor of the Beacons. Charles Mitchell over for Powers, and now Sinelli. Sinelli looking to drive down low, pulls back and knocks it down over Ashworth, who had tripped over the feet of Dason Sinelli.
That backboard's been Beacon's best friend for the last 5 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, UMass Boston has been all over that backboard, and it's been pretty kind. So Ashworth comes around his screen. Instead, they'll go for Obiora. Gives it back for Williams. He can hit from that distance. A screen from Obiora. They try to go back down low. Powers helps. Hawkins is there with 5. Down to 4. Williams Jr. needs to take the 3. It's a deep 3. Obiora grabs the rebound. Looked like he might have held the arm of Hawkins, but it'll stay with the Corsairs. Down 4 at the minute 25 left. This could be the possession in this game. The Corsairs fail to score. Atcam over for Obiora. A couple dribbles, and now he'll drive hard, loses it, but gets it back. Underneath, pulls back, and it's bouncing around finally into the hands of Hawkins Jr.
Now, at this point, you got to foul the Beacons at right now. You got a minute left. It's a 4-point game, and they're just going to try to run the clock down a little bit here.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to foul at this point, but you need a stop or a foul. Down to 14 on the shot clock with 53 seconds left. Ball in the hand of Boyd. Has the screen to his right. Instead, he'll pass that up. Over for Charles Mitchell with 6. Powers needs to go to work. Looks to drive hard with the left hand, and he converts. What a huge play from Dan Powers to make it a 6-point game. Williams Jr. all the way down in just seconds and finishes for UMass Dartmouth. 36.3 to go. The Corsairs in a little bit of full court pressure, not a ton. Across for Boyd. The Beacons want to keep it in the hands of either Boyd or Powers, two of their better free throw shooters. Boyd is triple teamed. Sinelli draws contact, and he'll head to the line for 2, up by, oh no, that's just 6 fouls. So the Corsairs should have one more to give. The scoreboard showing 16 fouls. Certainly wasn't a shooting foul. And we're going to get a UMass Dartmouth timeout as everyone was lined up for a free throw, but should be no free throw coming. So 22 seconds left, and we'll be back here on the Beacons Broadcast Network after this. Beacons out of the timeout. Charlie and Charles Mitchell, Michael Boyd, Dan Powers, and Dason Sinelli. It will not be free throws upcoming. The Corsairs still have to give up one more foul. Obiora will face guard the inbounder Sinelli. Trying to get the ball to Boyd, and they do. Ashworth gives the foul. And Michael Boyd, the Beacons' top free throw shooter at just over 76%, will head to the line for the 1-and-1. Just the 17th foul on the Corsairs, second on Ashworth. And we'll see James Hawkins Jr. come in to play defense, replacing Charlie Mitchell. Might also see Iser Barnes come on as well. I'll have to wait until after the free throw as Boyd knocks down the first. And Dason Sinelli will come on. Jason Sinelli will come off, I should say. It's been a long day, Gigi.
That it has, let me tell you.
Boyd makes the first, misses the second. 5-point game with 20 to go. Ashworth into the front court. He's their three-point shooter. Chucks one up. Can't quite convert. It's tapped up. Rebound is loose. Still loose. Picked up by Obiora. He loses it. A couple players fall to the ground. It's possession now UMass Boston, and we will get a jump ball. So UMass Boston picking up their intensity over the last couple minutes. And with 6.9 to go, they'll have the ball. And the Corsairs have to get a steal or a quick foul down by 5. .9 left. The Beacons will inbound underneath their own basket. Once again, Obiora, the guy guarding the inbounder, and Charlie Mitchell steps out of bounds. The length of Obiora forcing a slightly errant pass, and Charlie Mitchell couldn't make the catch. So with 5.2 left, the Corsairs still have life. See Hawkins Jr. replace Charlie Mitchell. Jones will inbound.
This has to be a catch and shoot situation here for the Corsairs.
Ashworth guarded nicely there by Charles Mitchell, so they have to go to Obiora with 3.6. Get the ball inbounds to Charles Mitchell. Ashworth was stunned that the call was made, but there were 3 Corsairs all over the Beacon's diminutive guard, and if he can hit the front end here, this game is over. Not necessarily his forte, just a 52.7% free throw shooter, but nothing else. The best the Corsairs can do here is tie the game, assuming the Beacons don't give a foul on a three-pointer. And here's the question. Do you potentially give the foul as long as it's a non-three-point shot? If you can avoid giving the foul in the midst of a shot, doesn't matter anymore. We're just going to ignore it. It's a 4-point Beacons lead, and now you're not thinking about the foul. The hypotheticals running through my brain at this point as Mitchell hits the first, misses the second. Obiora dribbles it off his foot. Charlie dives on it, and the Beacons win for the second straight time by 4 points. The Beacons have now won 3 games against UMass Dartmouth for the first time in program history. And Gigi, it wasn't necessarily pretty, but the Beacons able to hang on above 500 in conference play and look like they are locked in for their first LEC tournament home game since 2006, the year they won their lone LEC tournament title.
Well, Seth, a win is a win, and no matter how you get it, as long as you get it, that's really all that matters. And I'm sure Coach Harris is going to have a couple of things to harp on to his team that they got to do better moving on into further conference play and on to the playoffs. But to say the least, the Beacons came out with a win. It wasn't as pretty as we would like to see it, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the score. Beacons up by 4.
We'll take a commercial break, head down low, talk to Jason Harris, and then close it out here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Why do they always assume? Hi, I'm Tracy Reed, and I'm a PhD student in the sociology department at UMass Boston. And I drove all the way across the country from Northridge, California to be a part of this great program.
I chose this program because of the department's commitment to advancing theory and driving the discipline forward, while also transcending theory and using our knowledge and research skills to address complex social issues as they play out in the real world.
For me, doing research on immigration, on college-aged immigrant youth, this is the perfect setting.
I played a role as a study coordinator, so there I helped develop the IRB materials. I also helped with the evaluation research and got to conduct focus groups along with Professor Hartwell and really actually engage with the project and learn how to deal with multiple stakeholders, which has proven to be invaluable on the job search.
I feel so fortunate to have gone through the master's program at UMass Boston. I design, run, and evaluate workforce development programs, which is exactly replicating the skills that I got to practice here.
One of my favorite things about our department is that they really put an emphasis on both research and teaching.
My first semester, I took a course in teaching sociology, and it really got me excited about the prospect of being able to share this with others.
Joined by head coach Jason Harris. Coach, every one of these interviews you say that every conference game is going to be close. How does playing in so many of these close games and having won quite a few of them help you in a situation like tonight where you were playing a desperate UMass Dartmouth team that might have been short on players, but they were showing maybe a little bit more heart than you guys throughout most of that second half?
Yeah, they gooned us a little bit in the second half. You know, they had more desperation, more toughness, and so that we're not very excited about. But again, man, it's just about finding ways to win games in February in conference play. That's every conference you go to. They're all going to be close, Seth. Again, hats off to Brian. Those guys did a really good job battling, being undermanned, but we'll take it, Seth. We'll take it. I didn't answer your question. Congrats on the Eagles, by the way. I know you're a big-time Eagles fan. That's the last time you'll ever hear me say that.
You thought that we were crazy when we put on the website that it was the first time that UMass Boston ever won 2 in a row against UMass Dartmouth. What does it feel like to sweep a UMass Dartmouth team that when you were a player was a power and still has one of the better programs in the Little East year in and year out?
Hey, listen, to say these guys aren't a power is ridiculous, Seth. Whoever gets these guys in the it might be us, is in for a battle, man. This team is built to win in the tournament. So, again, hats off to Brian. Winning games close in February in the Little East Conference. It's about being tough. It's about just finding ways to. Tonight we shot the ball pretty well. Made 10 threes. We out-rebounded a very physical team. We got 16 steals. So some really good things there. But going back to your question, man, we try to make chaos in practice every day. Just make everything as chaotic as possible, and hopefully we can just hold on there at the end. It's going to cost us a game eventually, but hasn't yet, and hopefully we can learn from it, and it won't.
Finally, 3 games left in the regular season. You're not going to face either of the top 2 teams in the conference. What can you?
Yeah, we will, Seth. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we face East Con and Keene State in the
season.
second and the third round.
Not in the regular season. What do you need to do these last 3 games to be as prepared as possible heading into that quarterfinal game where you probably will play this UMass Dartmouth team?
Continue to do what we're doing. Compete every day. Tomorrow's meat grinder Thursday, so I'm looking forward to doing that. Just continue to prepare the way we do, man. We play hard, we practice hard. It's physical, and there's no other way to do it. There's no other way to do it. We got young guys; they're all 18, except for the three or four old guys we got. So we're just gonna keep going, man, until the wheels fall off. Hopefully, it don't fall off until mid-March, early April.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Congrats on the win. Beacons sweeping the season series against UMass Dartmouth for the first time in program history. Right now, we'll take a look at the highlights from that second half. It wasn't pretty, but the Beacons managed to hold on for another 4-point win. Looking to come back to the near side for Charles Mitchell. Mitchell around the Boyd screen, knocks it down from the near.
Shot clock. Try to waste it down a little bit. Try to break their defense down. And that's a great move there by, Hawkins Jr. and just Dan Powell.
Obiora can't convert. And Charlie Mitchell makes the interceptionable steal. Boyd for Charles Mitchell from distance knocks it down. The scorers table, we've barely seen Pinto, so it's basically been 7 guys. Boyd with the N1, and the Beacons have numbers the other way. Brandon Williams all the way to the tin, and 1 opportunity with Boyd sliding over. Powers right back for Charles Mitchell. Takes the crossover 3 and knocks it down.
The 3-point line, the Corsairs have to start realizing that.
Sinelli, the huge block from behind by Obiora, gets it back. Charles Mitchell spots up from the corner and drains it. With 6, Powers needs to go to work. Looks to drive hard with the left hand, and he converts. What a huge.
And welcome back to the Beacons Broadcasting Network as we take a look at the final statistics here. As the Beacons outscore the Corsairs here by a 4-point game as they did 3 weeks ago here. And we see something that stands out here is obviously the 3-point field goal percentage here, Seth, as the Beacons shooting at 43.5% and the Corsairs only at 30. And that's really what it comes down to when you get players like Boyd and like Mitchell who can hit those threes, and they're so lethal from that. And even Dan Powers, who helps out a little bit down there, and that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off of your big guys from making all those points in the paint.
Well, the Beacons knocked down 5 more threes than the Corsairs, and that certainly made up for the 40-20 edge in points in the paint. Beacons did get back a 9-point lead in points off turnovers as the Corsairs outscored the Beacons by 9 in the second half, but still not enough for the win. We'll take a look right now at the team leaders in this contest. And Gigi, just as we expected, a lot of those big names ended up with big games. Obiora for UMass Dartmouth along with Atcam, and then for UMass Boston, Boyd and Charles Mitchell leading the way on offense.
Yeah, and Charles Mitchell, he had a really slow beginning of that second half there, but then as crunch time kicked in, he kept hitting those threes, and Michael Boyd just continuing to be a powerhouse, and Dan Powers, such a big presence down at rebounds. But Obiora, he played a lot of minutes today. He played all 20 minutes in the first half.
Played all 40 for the game.
He played all 40 for the game, and there you have it. He's scoring 20 points, and he's a powerhouse. And like you said, they're missing how do you pronounce his name?
Joshua Amadi.
Joshua Amadi. So they're missing him, and he's one of the Corsairs' top scorers. So Obiora kind of had to take a little bit of that weight off his shoulders there.
UMass Boston led for 38 minutes and 40 seconds in this game. They jumped out to an 11-0 lead and never looked back. The only time they didn't lead was the first minute 20 when they didn't score. So we'll take a look right now ahead for UMass Boston. 3 winnable games. Plymouth State, who sits at 2-8 in conference. Southern Maine, who sits at 2-8. I think I have that right. One of those teams might actually be at 1-9. I don't have a men's basketball standings in front of me. And then Western Connecticut is currently in 3rd place, but the Beacons felt like they had a shot down at Danbury a couple of weeks ago, just couldn't finish. So 3 games where the Beacons have a chance to go into the LEC tournament on a high note. Right now, we'll give a shout out to our production crew doing a great job working both ends of today's doubleheader. My name is Seth Orensky, joined by Gigi Braga, alongside Anthony Searles, Rachel Maslak, and Melissa Fugel up top. Our camera operators, Alex Gibbs, Bree Colucci, Alex Carasoto, and Eileen Shee. Thanks so much for watching, folks. UMass Dartmouth and UMass Boston, a split in tonight's LEC doubleheader. They might see each other on both ends come LEC tournament time.